Hello, it's Cryptolyze. I hope you are well this Sunday, 3 September 2023. It is with pleasure that I meet you to talk about recharging zone. If you haven't seen my video yesterday, I invite you to do so. I'll even put the link there. Do it before watching this video. It's very important to understand why I'm talking to you about this and precisely my optics. To put it simply, I tend to think that we will be heading in the next 6, 8, 9 months in a form of slight recession in the USA. So that means behind a retracement of the S&P 500, a strong retracement of the American economy, and therefore next to it, a retracement in BTC and therefore altcoins. I presented to you the analysis that I carried out on Total 3, which represents all cryptos excluding BTC Ethereum. And we see that we are more or less in a setup where we risk taking a big slap in the face of 20 minus 30% little by little, close to perhaps going up to 50%, and there we will review together a certain number of cryptos in which I will give you my reloading zones in which I will wait for the price to arrive on it. These are areas where I will potentially reinforce a DCA already in progress or reinforce an already existing tank. Please note, this does not mean that I own all these cryptos. Likewise, that doesn't mean that these are cryptos that are imperative to buy. These are areas compared to all the cryptos that I have already covered, and it is the same. There are a number of cryptos that are not present in it. It's normal, I can't do everything at once, and certainly I will make an additional video. And if you ever have cryptos that you want to add in for a future video, put it in the comments. It's with pleasure that I will note it, and which will in fact simply provide content for a future identical video. Let's start right away. So we're going to talk about Total 3 right away to give you the elements, to understand where we are. Currently, we find ourselves in a pattern which is really not positive. To give you an idea here is the BTC. The BTC in this area, in fact, has broken its previous high. Okay, so has started to set up a pattern which is rather bullish. At the level of Total 3, so all cryptos excluding BTC and Ethereum, we find ourselves in something where we haven't broken this high, okay? If we had done the same thing as BTC, we would be somewhere in this zone here, in a Rotest zone, in these zones at 450. This is not at all the case. We are really already in the 320, and we will continue to sink in little by little. And this is the current problem that I am describing to you, which is that I think we're going to break the lowest part here, or even simply go deeper into this area before making a little Rotest from the upper part and making a last bearish wave before making a bearish acceleration. Because at the moment, we are in a form of accumulation, and what we are going to expect here is going to be an STB, potentially a spring for a bearish breakout. And that means that we are not obliged to have a BTC, which sinks into the lowest, which will go to 10,000. We can have a BTC, which will retest the 20,000. It is sure and certain. Behind the altcoins, we will take expensive, we will take at least 30%, and at least 30% is simple compared to the current level where we are. We find ourselves in this zone, in this first zone here, and the least 50 is in this golden zone here, which corresponds to the zones before acceleration at the level of BTC, at level of altcoins that we had following the acceleration of BTC. So with that, we are going to review different altcoins. And we're going to start with AAVE. AAVE, Decentralized Finance Protocol. You know very well what I think about it. It's something that makes part of my wallet, and I think I will seriously reload when we break the 40 level here. When we look at the pattern a little, we see that it's been a while since we've made a new top. We have something that is relatively weak since August 2022. We have a series of highs which are lower and lower and lows which are lower and lower. So for me, we are going to make a new low. We are going to retest them to make a bearish continuity. All right, so here, just a little point before talking about that and continuing is you have to understand that I'm not crazy, far from it. It's just I'm setting up a strategy setup by giving me 2 alerts by telling myself, okay, well, when we arrive in these areas, I know what I'm going to do. I know who I'm going to recharge with at what level. It's up to you to do the same thing, depending on the exposures and cryptos that interest you based on your knowledge and the project that you have. Be careful about this. So for me, the AAVE will continue to sink below 40 as usual to potentially get a 20. So this is the golden zone to follow. Then the Tau. So I made a video on it. So I actually got burned in it. In this video, it shows that a Tau below 60 is impossible. Well, we have already done a retest of the 45 at the Tau level, and I think it's on track to continue. When we look, we have a high here. We made a second high there. So we definitely have a downward trend that is taking place. We are going to retest the past part there. If we ever break that, most certainly we will break that, and therefore find ourselves in a Tau which will be below 35 to potentially go up to 15. As a reminder, personally, the Tau below 25, well above 25, I do not buy. I consider that it is still too much to be taught, and so I will wait as usual. Next, we have Mina. Mina, technology blockchain. for the desire to be the lightest blockchain with technology that is really not bad, to follow how it will develop. The problem with the project is that there is no ecosystem. It is really under development, and bear market development does not help at all. So for me, it's one of the assets that could really perform on the next bull run, but we have to wait, be patient. For me, the target here, 1.618 in the 0.31 or even lower target, which simply corresponds to the breakout here, retracement, and that gives us a very nice target on a bearish continuity with precisely here a bullish breakout, which is rather classic when we seek liquidity before acceleration and then we break bearish. We can clearly see that we have a good bearish approach. We have a small inflection here, which has been since May 2023, but the inflection is not sufficient. So we can clearly see that we have something that is in the process of being signed, and this is somewhat the case for all the others, except certain ALTs such as INJ, therefore injective protocol, which is a specialized protocol, finally a blockchain specialized in mainly trading and decentralized finance, which will be very interesting, which is in any case a pattern which is quite interesting too, in which we have a form of accumulation, exit from the accumulation, bullish structuring above. As a reminder, the same when I made the video, we are in these surroundings there. I told you be careful for me. Here we are no longer in a phase of retesting. We can go a little higher and try to make it fair, but we are going to sink in. We see that we have sunk in well, and I tend to tell you that there we is indeed in a pattern here, which corresponds to a bearish breakout with a potential retest here of $4 or $5 and even lower for me. I think we can go and retest the breakout levels, agree breakout level. Here in the $1, we're going to say even above the $2 in which we are going to retest this level there if we ever get deeper. On the other hand, it represents something that is quite aggressive on injective. There we would go at least to 60%. So there it is, really for me, perhaps a little too aggressive, but we would definitely look for this retest zone here before make the upward acceleration. Why I put the golden zone, it means that for me here, if we fall into this zone, it means that there we have a big capitulation, because when we in any case have a price which starts to rise like that, the more it is a form of acceleration. Also in bear market, the more we have risks that have been taken, therefore the more the capitulation risks being strong, and therefore the more we risk having a very strong bearish impact, then we will have AR from Airwave. Therefore a pretty cool project on the structuring of data, in which we have here an order block which has been waiting for quite a long time. For the moment, we are slowly moving towards it, between 2.9 and generally 1.8, 1.5, and 1.8, in which we will have a good reloading zone before we can set up a pattern, something that would be done something like this before we can start increasing again. So there we will have time, I think, to do it, because we are really in a descending phase and we are seriously bleeding at the air level, so we will really have to be patient. Then we have Atom, so I cover it regularly. For me, I am not going to go any further, but we are in a bearish breakout phase. I think we are going to get the lot here, and that we are going to potentially break in this area, structure around $5 to $4 before being able to leave. Something there might be. A form of small accumulation, the same we will wait. Then AVAX, which is really not positive either. We are going to hunt this lot for me, and I think we are going to go further down. We are going to retest this imbalance zone with precisely the top of the reaccumulation that we have there. So for me, an AVAX between $7 and $4 seems completely consistent with the downward trend if we continue the fall. Next, we have Link. Link, the same. We have had a very neutral zone for a long time already. We have been in a very large range, very clear neutrality zone since May 2022. For me, what I'm going to expect in terms of Link, it's going to be a hunt for liquidity here. So a bearish box, very strong, leaves, hop, something like that, or even a bearish box, hop. We leaves again, we do a retest, we leave again. So then I will have an accumulation signal and be able to go back up there. If I don't have that, for me, we are still in a period of neutrality, so it will be very weak. We continue with Phantom. Phantom, in which for me we have a bearish continuity where we will chase the lot of wave 2, an element that I have already given you on multiple occasions, so I will not go too far. Do not hesitate to look for the videos I made on Phantom. We are moving forward with Pendle. Pendle, which is a project that I have been talking about for quite a long time. I had given the information somewhere around there between February and March, so which is already upstream, and we did it anyway. Already an X10 compared to these levels. We did X8. And if we got the big one, we're going to say X8. So we've already made a big area. But Pendle for me, which still remains a small market cap with very strong utility in decentralized finance, specializing in separation of yielding and the complete asset. So that means the interest rate and the collateral. So it's really the separation. And therefore, it's a very interesting protocol for me. We are in a phase here of first correction. We will potentially rise again. Here to make a bearish continuity, and we are going to get this lot there for me. We are going to go between the 0.3 and the 0.1, and there we have a big reloading zone, which could be quite nice for Pendle if we are not yet got into it. Then Solana, obviously Solana, we are in the process of setting up a correction. We have already been in a range for some time, at the bottom of the range. So Obviously, we are not going to go for the bottom. For me, this which will be interesting is to look for the bottom of range here, more or less between the $12 and the $8. We will have a big purchase price to start again on the rise Solana, a project that I have already been following for a very long time and which I own. I have a baccalaureate on it. Then we will see Sand, which is a project specialized in the metaverse, which is a large project with a large community which is relatively followed. And we have already had a large bleed for some time, which is logical in relation to the tokenomics. So we are returning to an accumulation zone, which is normal, which is a zone that I have already ruled on for almost a year. So we are slowly returning there. Once again, this notion of patience is really important. With the golden zone, which is here. So for me, it is 0.2 up to potentially 0.1. So we still have time before sinking in to restructure something like that and leave again. So once again, generally it's okay. Not be fair. We're going to break. We're going to leave again. We're going to take our time and start upwards. So something that will structure like that before leaving, we'll have time in any case. So don't buy a knife that falls. Then we have ARB. So obviously, Arbitrum. Arbitrum, for me, the buying zone will be between 0.45 and 0.35, or even a little lower, 0.2. So you'll just have to be patient. Above, we are simply filling this imbalance. We have a pattern which is built here in first impulse, retracement of second impulse. And when we look at this effect, we see that the target 1.11 is there. So it's completely logical as a reloading zone that you'll have to be patient. Same OP, very low zone, 0.75. We are in this identical dynamic, bearish impulse, retracement, bearish impulse. I think that we can even get this lot there, okay? I even think that we can go for this lot there. So having an OP below the 0.34 seems completely coherent to me, so we will have to be patient and actually smooth out our entry price there. We'll end with one which the same I got set on fire, so don't worry, in which I made a video somewhere around there in this area where I told you, be careful. We're not going to go much further than the 1 or the 1.1. Take your profits. We had a big acceleration. We risk a severe retracement. What happened? We hit here, hopped the 1 right on the mark, and then we came back down. Fibonacci extensions generally work well when we have used them. And here we see that we are in a retracement phase. I think that we will potentially continue to retrace before doing a retest of the 0.044 and still have a second bearish leg to rework this area, okay? For me, going to rework the 0.025 down to potentially very low levels, the 0.01 if we ever really have something that is expensive. Why? Because once again, it's always that when we have an acceleration in the middle of a bear market, that means that we have an injection of liquidity with high risk capital. It's not generally veterans who invest. They are new, so they have not suffered the big loss. So there will be a big capitulation, which risks being stronger if we ever have a bearish breakout, particularly in BTC. So we're going to end with something important. We're going to come back to this total market cap, understand that once again, I'm not bearish. Quite simply, I consider that here we are going to have an opportunity that will arrive. It's up to us to be patient and not to buy this falling knife. If we ever have bearish breakouts, we'll wait. It's not something that's going to cause a breakout like that. We're going to take it, talk, and it's going to go back up. No, we're going to have something that's going to be structured, that's going to do something like that, and then we'll have an acceleration, okay? We will even have something that will lose you in this form of lethargy. We will start again, break again, and so there we will have a very strong signal saying to ourselves, okay, there I have something which tells me that we are starting again. Likewise, this accumulation zone, this lethargy zone, will be where we will strengthen our DCA. Afterwards, if you don't want to bother, it's simple. The projects you like, you select the projects that interest you. You set up a DCA, whether in an area like that in a form of order, okay, which is relatively simple, a form of death over time in which you say, there you go, every week, every month, I invested in this project, so I'm going to accompany the course no matter what it does. And I'm going to say my average price, purchase. So why am I telling you this? Because in any case, there are two possibilities. Either you are really looking for the perfect entry, something which does not exist, and which fluctuates in all cases depending on the economy, depending on everything that happens in life. So the strategies themselves evolve. You have to know how to adapt to what happens. And in any case, this means that there will never be a totally perfect entry, or at least the perfect entry. There can be several. And that's why you really have to take refuge from that, not really look for the exact entrance. We can control our exposure by taking into account that we can indeed go further down and reinforce our exposure when we are in interesting low areas. So that's the best approach for me. For those who really want to look for the perfect zones, take into consideration that if I'm ever wrong, at the moment we do something like this and start to rise again, at that moment, you are not exposed or very little exposed. Hence the interest in having control and a strategy behind your exposure, so as not to make a mistake if we ever start to rise again. And precisely when we start to rise again, it could be very well done to make a bearish breakout again. So with that, we are arriving in an area that is going to be complicated with the recession in the USA, in which we will not say that we are in a recession, but we will see it. And once that's done, we'll say, oh, well, yes, in fact, we were in a recession. And so inevitably, we will have a very strong emotional impact to manage, hence the interest in having your strategy now, hence the interest in this video that I made for you. I invite you to also put it in a playlist. Put it aside and rewatch it in 6 months to see exactly where we are, even if I will provide you with regular update videos on it. And the same, if you like this type of video, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments and give me a little like. It always makes me very happy. And if you are missing any cryptos that you want me to do the same thing, the same exercise, put it in the comments. It's not necessary that I do it right away, but in any case, I will have the list to be able to do it, either on the Discord or in the form of a video. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for the daily news.